Hello everyone, Oli here and welcome to my review of The Rescue, the third story of season 2 of classic Doctor Who, and the 11th story overall, starring William Hartnell as the first Doctor. It is 2 parts long and is written by David Whittaker. So the plot of The Rescue is as follows. When the TARDIS lands on the supposedly peaceful planet of Dido at the end of the 25th century, the Doctor, Barbara and Ian discover a crashed spaceship waiting for help. The only survivors have been murdered by natives apart from a young orphaned girl and a paralyzed man. But who is the strange Coquillian creature that they are afraid of? And will they remain safe and not long to be rescued? Okay, so The Rescue. This story is rather good, but quite short, but still an enjoyable story. That's what I thought initially. Okay, so let me get into the basics of the story, what the good parts of the story. So hot of the heels of Susan's tear-jerking departure, we're introduced to her replacement, Vicky Pallister. Some people will think that Vicky is another Susan clone, but I feel that Vicky is a lot more stronger, independent, well-developed, and more mature than Susan. Plus, Vicky's quite cute as well, and she's very funny. And I think The Rescue did a very good job in introducing Vicky. And Maureen O'Brien did a very good job playing Vicky, and she's one of my favorite companions of the classic series. So what's left of the main cast? They did an amazing job. I liked the bit in the beginning when the Doctor assumed Susan was still in the TARDIS, but she departed in the last story, and I loved how Ian was saying how Susan is going to be in good hands with David, whom she met in the Dalek invasion of Earth. Speaking of Ian and Barbara, they don't really do a whole lot in this story, but they still do their best. But Barbara, once again, she stood out when she killed Vicky's pet, but she didn't know it was Vicky's pet and she assumed that they were all in danger. And I loved when Vicky was upset at Barbara for killing, I think the pet's name was Sandy. Very odd name for a very grotesque creature like that, so... And I loved her acting skills. I loved Maureen O'Brien's acting skills, mourning Sandy's loss, and the Doctor was trying to console her. That was a very, and the Doctor, and I realized William Hartnell and Maureen O'Brien had they had good chemistry together, and I think when Maureen O'Brien was fired in the following season, William Hartnell was very angry with that. It was with the new producer John Rawls for his decision on doing that, because whenever William Hartnell got into one of his moods or something like that, why do they keep referring to the actors' names, the characters' names? Maureen O'Brien would comfort him and stuff like that. I wish we saw more of that in Adventure Space and Time. So in terms of a supporting cast, we only have the Coquillian, who is the big bad of this story, and Bennett, the injured member of Vicky's crew. But there's a twist in the story where it was revealed that Bennett was Coquillian the whole time. So he was Coquillian in the costume. So the crew decided to give Coquillian a fake actor's name so they don't give the twist away so easily, as in episode 1. But in episode 2 they credited Bennett's actor as Bennett and Coquillian, I think, yeah. Bennett was alright, he was quite good, but I think the twist could have easily been given away because the Coquillian would go into Bennett's room and stay there for a very long time, so maybe that's why it was so easy to guess. But he was quite good, he was quite scary, and he was a very ugly looking creature and a scary looking creature, and there was a part when in the last part when Bennett was trying to strangle the Doctor, and that was actually quite scary. And as I mentioned before, this story is only 2 parts, so it's pretty much a filler story. Just basically introduce Vicky and give her a bit of character development, and have her join the TARDIS crew in their adventures. There was no need for it to be more than 2 parts. It was alright being a 2-parter, considering the fact we just come up with a very heavy story, such as the Dalek invasion of Earth. So I think I'm coming down with a cold or a cough or something like that. Bear with me. So there's no, so as I was saying, it was just so coming off the Dalek invasion of Earth, which was pretty much a grim, dark story for the Daleks, and an emotional departure for Susan. So it's a nice way to like relax things before we get to the latter half of the season. So the cliffhanger at the end of the rescue was a literal cliffhanger, but not literal, but this is where the TARDIS would actually fall off a cliff, and then who's in the TARDIS will fall off a cliff, and you all assume that the Doctor and his companions are harmed in some way, but they weren't. So, but I guess the viewers back then thought it was a continuation of this story, but in actual fact, it would lead into the following story. The Romans was actually the beginning of the Romans. But this is what I was talking about in my previous reviews, of how every story would pretty much lead into the following story, except for the Dalek invasion of Earth, which they didn't really dive into that, but it's implied. I think in the expanded universe there was an adventure that took place between these Dalek invasion of Earth and the rescue, and it featured the Doctor, Ian, and Barbara as companions. I can't remember the name, but yeah. I also like the set design of the story, even though it was very much like a rocky planet. But I bet if this story was made like 10 years after this, would have been like in a quarry. Yeah, alien planets were pretty much quarries back in the 70s and 80s Doctor Who. And to some extent in a bit of the 60s as well. I think starting from the Savages, that's when they started forming in quarries. But I was also impressed with the caves where the TARDIS had landed, and a little bit of cliff when in the episode 1 cliffhanger when the Doctor and Ian were trapped. Well, they're trying to traverse their way across the ledge to save Barbara, but they came across some spikes on the wall, and Sandy, Vicky's pet, but we didn't know at that time, was on the bottom. Christopher Barry's direction was quite good. Is it Christopher Barry? Yeah, Christopher Barry. Yeah, his direction in this story was quite good. I think this is his second. Yeah, I think this is the second story he directs. The third story he directed is The Romans, the following story. I think. Yeah, he did a pretty good job. I mean, Christopher Barry, he directs some of the stories he directs are very good. And his brother Morris Barry, so he has some good stories as well. I think he directed Tomb of the Cybermen, which is one of my favorite stories. And probably, without a doubt, one of the best, well, the best Cyberman story ever. Yeah. But I'll get to those in another. I'll get to those when I get to those. Yeah. So, I do have some ideas that could have made the story a little bit better. For instance, maybe have a few more members along with Vicky's crew, and have the Coquillion / Bennett kill them off, or actually show the Coquillion killing them, and without Vicky not really knowing without Vicky knowing, but the Coquillion will tell her, "Oh, your crew, I just killed this guy," or have Vicky discover their bodies, or maybe have Ian or Barbara discover the doc. Sorry. Have Ian or Barbara discover the bodies. And I know that the Doctor was caught up in the adventure, but I do feel Susan should have been mentioned a lot more. Well, even though she was mentioned in the beginning, that was pretty much the only time she was mentioned. But maybe we had the Doctor like mistaken Vicky for Susan for some odd reason, or maybe have another heart note speech on how much he misses Susan, or how Vicky reminds him of Susan a lot, something like that. But overall, The Rescue is an enjoyable story, but to be honest, it's a two-parter, and there's not really much to judge in a two-parter, especially a short two-parter like The Rescue. But they're not really. But on the bright side, there aren't really any negatives. But to be honest, I think the story gets a 7 out of 10. I mean, yeah, it's still good. I mean, it's still quite good, but there isn't really much to judge on. That's one of my main problems with this story. I mean, yeah, it's quite good. I mean, there are some, no, not really any bad parts, but yeah, maybe have some bad parts we need to like point out on, maybe how they can do better or something like that. But to be honest, this was pretty much a filler. Okay, so my next review is, as I mentioned, is The Romans, the fourth pure historical story, and another critically acclaimed hot note story, and the first time where the Doctor Who dabbles in comedy, so look out for that one. So thank you for watching my review. Let me know how I did and what I could do better, and tell me what you thought of the rescue. Like this video and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and watch some of my previous reviews. So this is Oli. See you in a bit.